Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. This is the Nottingham Planning Board meeting for January 23rd, 2019. I'd like to go around the room, or around the board here, and have people introduce themselves. I'll start with Teresa.
Teresa Bascom.
Tony Dumas, Select Board.
Edward Beal.
Dirk Grotenhuis.
Susan Mooney.
Gary Anderson.
Joe Clough.
So we have a full board here tonight, and we'll just jump right into some of the public hearings we do have. The first one on the agenda, and I just want to mention that if anybody hasn't signed in, there's a sign in the back. Please do so. Tonight, the first hearing is case 18004 SIT. This is an application from SBA Towers for site plan approval for the relocation of a wireless communication tower from 165 Old Turnpike Road to 175 Old Turnpike Road. It is on tax map 3, lot 6, sub lot 1. We have a updated site plan materials, and the applicant is here. If you want to just let us know if there's any additional information for the board. Last we're here, I'll just read a little bit of information. Since the last meeting, we received a letter from the building department and the code enforcement officer, and I just wanted to just reiterate a couple of things that were noted on it. During a site walk, there were some inspection compliance violations that were noted. Subsequently, the building and code enforcement officer has been to the site working with the homeowner, landowner, to determine what those apparently several vehicles. The code enforcement officer provided explaining some of those more in detail, but for the primary reasons of the site plan application, the homeowner is working with the town on trying to get those rectified. Has made, according to this, considerable work to get this back into compliance. It is not fully in compliance as of right now, but the code enforcement officer indicates that that there's considerable progress, and is still continuing to help and willing to come back to re-inspect whenever the homeowner feels like the site's back into compliance. So the town is currently working with that landowner to try and get that fully into compliance, and apparently considerable measures have been taken since. So the case had been continued just to get some of that stuff worked out with the homeowner. Just, is there any other updates from your end of the application?
No, for the record, Timothy Green here representing SBA Towers. Not really. We haven't changed anything. There was an issue, like I said, as you just mentioned, that there was some issues. The code enforcement officer wanted to be out of the property. There's been significant changes that are done, and that's kind of where we stand right now. We're kind of moved out of the application part more to the actual property part, so to speak. So we're kind of stuck in the middle. But
So at this point, the board needs to take action tonight. So I would say we either have more discussion on it. If there's any questions, we can ask questions.
So I think my biggest concern, after I've done the site walk, was the condition of the actual site existing, and then making sure that we don't make a current non-conforming site more non-conforming. So getting the code enforcement officer out there, to see, because again, what was actual versus perceived, was a big part of this process, for me anyway, and then seeing the letter, and that the landowner, the steps that the landowner has taken in a pretty short period of time to remedy that, that assuages a lot of my concern. I still wouldn't want to, if we go to approval, I'd want to make sure there's conditions in there, making sure that it continues and is brought to conforming overall.
To that point, I do want to make sure everybody's aware that in order for them to actually construct this, they will have to apply for a building permit. And again, that would require that all of those code violations be taken care of by then. Otherwise, a building permit will not be issued. So. Any other comments or questions that people would?
This is a minor issue, but looking through the new set of plans, I noticed that the mobile home is still not identified in the plans. Is that because it will be removed prior to installation of the tower? I'm looking at.
I think I may have misspoke. These aren't new plans, these are the same plans.
I see. Never mind.
So, yes, you're seeing this mobile home there that's not labeled. That would still be a condition to have that labeled. As far as the enforcement of that, it was indicated that they are looking to remedy that.
Yeah.
So whether it's removed or not habitable or not habitated or whatever.
Okay, thank you.
For this case, we could make sure that as a condition that it's labeled. We can't make sure that, I can't imagine we could say that it's labeled and noted that it'll be removed.
It does say in Dale Sylvia's letter that the home would be removed by June 15th.
Right, I just didn't know if this applicant though can
But yeah, it's,
speak towards that.
it would be the responsibility of that landowner, which is compliance.
Correct,
do
but
that.
what you're saying is that even if we approve this, that mobile home would be gone, so there was, if they put it on their plans, it's not there by the time.
Well, he didn't say it would be removed.
Yes, it does.
He said, I think this is a reasonable request and could be approved if you agree in writing to have the home removed by June 15th, 2019.
Right.
So he's making an offer to
Have it removed.
have it, he's offering the landowner the opportunity to make this agreement in writing, but he may yet refuse.
He's saying, the reason he put that in is because in the letter it states that he didn't want to evict somebody in the winter.
Right.
And he's saying that's reasonable, but have it gone by June 15th. At least that's the way I read it.
Yeah, I mean, we
picture.
can have a condition that it be removed, but really the primary enforcement here is with the code enforcement officer.
Correct.
So that's their
Purview.
purview to do. Whether it's labeled on the plan, it should be labeled on the plan, because it's,
Right.
so we should have it at least labeled. Documentation that says that there is a mobile home that was being provided. Shouldn't be. And that's what I think the documentation is all here. I don't really feel like we would need to condition it to have it. Right, so I would not want it to be that there would be conflicting direction. I'd rather have that.
Another question as well. I'm looking at RSA Chapter 236 that Mr. Sylvia had reproduced for us. And some of the materials and junkyards that are to be removed are tires. And I did not see in his letter any reference to tires on the property. everything
get
here.
everything in compliance. Working with that. Our responsibility is identifying and acknowledging potential violations.
Okay.
Sure enough, there were, so that's not. Anything else?
Just one thing, I know in past discussions, we had heard from neighbors and concerns about, well, concerns they had, and I just wasn't sure if they were being addressed in any way here. And I know one of them, for instance, was a concern of some of the carriers, going down the wrong, going on the wrong property. I just don't know if that had been addressed at all, since I did miss the last meeting, so that's why I'm asking that question, really to the board.
I think the solution to that, so there is current signage at the site now. I don't know when that was installed, if it was before or after some of those incidents. I believe we had discussed having some signage put up at the location to try and make it clearly identifiable, which driveway is the appropriate one. Yeah, that was going to be one of the conditions.
Yeah. And the applicant did indicate it, that, those carriers would be definitely notified of where the site would be and how that's policed or enforced, I don't know.
Just, yeah, it was still a question in my mind, so thanks for that clarification.
This is still a public hearing. Pretty sure we never closed the public hearing because this is a continued case, so I asked if there's any public that want to speak to, for, or against the application. The public hearing is still open, and now would be the time to just indicate any questions or comments to the board. Anybody in the public wanting to speak to, for, or against? One more time?
You don't want to hear anything that's previously said?
Yeah, I mean, if it's repetitive, then no. If it's some new information or some other comments,
No, we've already settled this.
okay.
Could I ask, has the new design been less offensive than a reproduction of the old design, where it's going to be a monopole this time, rather than,
From our property,
that was my
just don't see
question.
any positive change.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
Seeing no other comments from the public, I'll close the public hearing. Bring it back to the board for motion to take action on today's. It cannot be continued. We have to take action for 180-day limit.
I could start it, but I don't have the entire list of conditions that y'all are doing.
Do you want the
Yes.
previous conditions from last time?
Sure, 'cause they're not, I don't see them here, and I didn't.
They're in minutes. I underlined them.
Starting starting at the bottom of the line.
They're in the notes.
Okay. Seems I made the other one, I'll do this one too. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the application from SBA Towers CO Terrace Search for the relocation of a wireless communication tower from 165 Old Turnpike Road to 175 Old Turnpike Road, with the conditions in accordance with state and federal regulations that zoning violations be resolved prior to the start of the project. Soil sampling be done, and signature block to be added to the plans, correct scales used on plans, relocate the SBA signage from the old site to the new site, have the mobile home be identified on the map.
So there's a motion
Second?
and a second. Any discussion on that?
Do we need to add any time frame? Would be my only thought on that before, or conditions like before actual construction begins that.
But they won't get a permit unless the conditions are met and the site becomes in compliance. That's why I didn't add that. It seemed pretty unnecessary to add it.
Invitation for this.
No. Get all those votes? So that site plan is approved, passes.
So is it two abstentions?
Two abstentions. I didn't call for them, but Tony and I abstained.
Okay. I thought I saw Tony's hand. 5, yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
All right, the next item on the agenda tonight is conceptual for 147 Raymond Road. It's map 63, lot 47. And there's a proposed 4-lot subdivision. The applicant's here and would like to speak to this. This would be the second time we've seen this as a conceptual.
Yeah,
We're a little bit familiar with it. Just get us up to speed on what has changed or transpired or other information you'd like to know. Just want to make sure that you understand this is a conceptuals are non-binding.
Right.
Our comments are really just to provide you some guidance and coming to an application process.
So, my name is Bradford J. Vuno, for the record. I'm at 135 Raymond Road here in Nottingham. I'm the DPOA for my mom, Phyllis Rehill, which the property belongs to. And I think we've discussed before why we're doing this subdivision. Pay for her long-term care. She's in a nursing home right now. So this is our only way to pay for it. We started out with a concept with 5 lots and then the original farm. So it's going to be 6 lots altogether. As we got into this thing and we surveyed it and did the setbacks, we found a significant amount of wetlands where we didn't expect to find them. So we lost 2 lots in the concept. The zoning board approved 3 lots on the private road of Whites Grove Road. What we're going to do is what I proposed to my abutter, Mr. Sweet. As you may recall, there was a door between that, and so it's difficult to go back to something that happened before I was born. So for me to settle this with Mr. Sweet without having to go to court and that sort of thing, we agreed on a lot line adjustment that would pull his line back to his side of the road. And
Could you just back that up a little bit to which property?
so that's Edward Sweet.
Okay.
Okay, so he's pulling his line back to the road. That resolves the door. So that's going to resolve. I'm going to come in with an application just for a simple lot line adjustment, because that's what I was told, that that's all was needed between the 2 parties. So now in consideration for that, you'll notice that my biggest lot, the 3-acre lot, going down Whites Grove Road on the right-hand side, has a considerable amount of wetlands. And because of the setbacks from the road, from Mr. Sweet, from my other one, we couldn't get, we tried, as you remember before, we went across the road to try to get one building thing, and you guys said that wasn't good, the road is the boundary. So one thing I do know is that, because my mom used to own Mr. Sweet's property, is I know that that's a non-conforming lot as of right now. So my proposal to him was to deed over that 3-acre lot to him. So then that will enable him to combine that with his current lot, and that will create a conforming lot for him. And it'll allow him to do some upgrades on his house, possibly in the future if he wants to build a garage or whatever. So that's how that piece is going to be taken care of, because it's 2/3 wetlands. But it's enough usable land, because he doesn't have a setback from his property, for him to be able to, you know, add that to his property to make it a conforming lot. So that's one change that we've made, because we can't get a house in on that right-hand side. So then we're down to only 2 lots on Whites Grove Road, and they're clearly, it's clearly shown. One's, they're both 2.31 acres. So, and then we lost 1 lot on 156, so we're down to just 1 lot on 156 because of the setbacks of the wetlands again and from the abutters. So it's changed considerably, and the thing that I'd like to do is, at this point, I'd like to have some feedback from the board, like, can I do test pits to make sure that these 3 lots are viable before I go any further, or?
Oh, yeah, yeah, I mean, you can absolutely do test bits at any time.
See, I wasn't sure whether I needed your approval to do that or not, or, no, okay. So then that's probably gonna be our next step, is to do the test bits. If they come back good, we'd like to do a formal application. Is there anything that you see on this plan, right? We've taken into consideration all of the feedback that you guys have given us, and I really appreciate the time that you guys have spent on this concept. But we didn't know what we had until we actually got in there and had, you know, Jim line it out. So I feel like this is the best use of the land, and if we're able to proceed with this in a timely fashion, then I'll be able to take care of my mom. If we don't, then I'm gonna lose all the property.
Ask adjustments.
Yeah.
Has all of that taken place already?
No, we have,
That's proposed.
no, that's proposed, yeah. This is the proposal of how it would look after the lot line adjustment.
So the proposed from between lot 86 and 47, the road would be on lot 47 for that first stretch. What happens on the other side of the stone wall is the proposal that Whites Grove.
Oh, so now we're talking like going down Whites Grove on the right-hand side. Yeah, okay, yeah. The road is not going, the road is a boundary.
Get involved at some point on this, because this is a private road. And so the width of that right-of-way is going to be subject, that we've shown here is 20 feet wide. That's going to be subject to the Board of Selectmen's recommendations or approval. And my recommendation is that the boundary line for the lots 47B, 47C, and the land that's going to be conveyed to Sweet, the boundary would follow the center of the road. Just that was the original intent of lot 86, the Sweet property was created.
And it was just, they made a mistake. My family made a mistake, and they owned lots of land, and the person who took into the consideration that it follows along. So, you know, that interpretation was that's my septic system for for 147.
It's done with the state for the subdivision. We also need a curb cut permit from that. intention is to have it mostly south near the existing.
That seems like that could complicate things, if the lot line is the road as opposed to going to the other side of the road. Did you say last time it's currently deeded to the property?
It's a center line of the road, you said, right?
It's a private road that's owned by my family.
Right there. Under the road that's traveled back and forth. Most roads that are private. Even if it's not, the way you're gonna find that, being documented is if you have a piece of property survey. I'm not sure. I would check. All of them, they're the same situation. The travel portion of the road is definitely the same as the old side of the truck. That we have.
The problem in this case is under state law, the landowner of the private road is responsible for its maintenance, not the community. So if you divvy that road in half of it belongs to one property owner and half of it belongs to the other, who's responsible to maintain it?
And conversely, if it doesn't go that way, who is responsible to maintain it?
Whichever one retains ownership of the road. It's not the town's responsibility.
And I think that's what the Board of Selectmen are supposed to address.
You guys tell us that the boundary? That's what we were told.
I think that discussion was when there was, one of the lots bisected the road. So you were trying to use, buildable area on both sides of the road and add it, in that case.
I mean, right now, we
This, it bisected.
land on both sides of the road.
You know, and if you carry that your concepts all the way through,
It's not a concept, it's the law.
well,
It's not a concept, it's
that,
the law.
that may or may not be, I'm not an attorney, so I can't argue that point with you. But if you look at the big picture here, Whites Grove Road, for its entirety, what you're saying is Whites Grove Road in its entirety is going to be owned by the Reed Hill Trust forever.
No, no, I'm not saying the entire road, just the stretch that is,
Difference here, there's no difference in this subdivision than there were in the subdivisions leading up to this point. If you look at all the plans that are recorded, and the deeds that have been passed, they all follow the road. They say bounded by, have a distance along the road, etc. And I think this is just in keeping with the same. But again, it's up to the boards.
The proposal is to use the center line of the road as the boundary, the mutual boundary, or still to utilize? I'm sorry. Is the proposal to use the center line of the road as the boundary, or the?
Yes.
Whatever you prefer, so whatever you feel is.
So I'm curious if the owners of that road in entirety wants to keep that boundary to one side of the road instead of the center.
That's what I'm saying. All the lots that were created by the predecessors to the Reed Hill Trust, all of those deeds by the road. And state law in numerous court cases property is bounded by, along, and to a road, conveys title to the center of the road. In absence of that, from the landowner, the original subdivider, to the town, which I think you'll find in most of your recent, I say recent subdivisions. There's a town code, you'll find a deed from that developer to the town for that strip of land. Otherwise, that strip of land would be owned by the developer forever, and he would be taxed on it. So they say, in order to eliminate that problem, they have the strip of land deeded to the town, private ownership of all of those lots.
Where that boundary would be is, my concern would be, I guess it sounds like there's a good relationship with I believe, and Tony, you would be more familiar with this at this point, but private road,
Is responsible to maintain it.
right, but also, do they not, I mean, at this point, I don't know if the rights of way or any of that stuff, how that gets conveyed. I just have concerns about it complicating the subdivision potentially.
Yeah, no, that's my concern too.
There's gotta be easements that run, or in the deed that say that people have right-of-way to get across.
They do.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so, how does that get affected by splitting the road in half?
It does not. It doesn't, because any new lot that's created, these lot 47B, 47C, and the land deeded to the suite, those deeds would also have the reference back to the original easements. There would not be a problem. People who are buying those lots will know in their deed that the land is subject to the rights of others to pass.
So as it is right now, this road is private. It is a truly private road. It's an emergency lane, so it's not maintained. in any form.
I believe it is an emergency lane.
What?
I believe it is an emergency
Yeah, I think it
lane.
is. It has emergency lane status.
Even if it is,
That doesn't obligate the town to maintain it, it just allows the town legally to take action if it's necessary.
doesn't change.
Right.
Do you know what, Whites Grove Road does past the property, further down this road? I mean, are the lots
Oh, it's the lots,
bisected to the road, or is the road contained within individual lots?
there's individual lots on either side of the road. It goes down, it makes some very sharp.
Not through there. Are places where the travel portion is on private property because of the old deeds, the mathematics of the old deeds. The road has shifted over the years. If you look at the plans that were done by Mel Jenkins, when this was originally created, this last piece, you'll see where the road was supposed to be. If you go out there and survey it, in some cases be significantly different. Forth.
There was one camp there. I had to change that road. Like many of them, when you get down into the grove, the camps and the houses along the road are very close to the road. So much deeper down there.
I just wanna know. Not, maybe there is a need to do it to the center. It does complicate the ownership.
That strip of land, who would be the owner of that?
Be happy to deed it to them.
No?
Yeah, that's not how you
It's not
get a
gonna
road
happen.
made a town road. You don't just say, here you go, you can have it.
It would have to go to either, suite or the lot, it'd have to go to lot 47 or lot 40. this lot number
So
is.
we could convey it 47A, or 47B and 47C. We could do that. And then just have those lots be subject to the right of way.
See, the complicating factor for your future homeowners here is that when they buy these lots, part of what happens when that deed is recorded, it has to be filed with a, what do you call it, waiver of liability,
Yeah.
where they acknowledge that it is a private road, not a town road, and that the landowner is responsible for maintenance.
Yeah.
So, is who is going to be responsible. That is what the rest of the select board will who owns that road. We are looking at cleaning up our policies around how we designate emergency lanes because they have not been entirely done square with the law over the past few decades. But the matter, you know, under state law of the town not being obligated to maintain private roads, that is a settled matter under law. The town has no obligation to spend taxpayer money on private land.
Does anything prevent me from putting these driveways in off of that private road?
They're still subject to whatever state laws, you know, dictate how that happens, as well as,
My understanding was that the board would have recommendations on where driveways should be located, and then it would go to the selectmen, but they would be mostly relying on the information that we.
yeah, we're gonna rely on the expertise and the recommendations of planning board, zoning board.
This was the, I still have it. The updated version of policy of the select board regarding building permit applications on private and class 6 roads. And it kind of outlines, so on the back is kind of like a quick flow chart idea. And then inside, you know, it outlines the process. And the applicant's right to use said private road to access the parcel in question. And then some other stuff as well. So that's a little bit outside our scope, but we are exacerbating a problem that exists, you know, with you know, changing lot lines.
Each one gets their back and forth. Nobody ends up taking care of the road, which creates a public safety. Really what we want to do.
I can understand from both sides, what we're looking for is direction here. If you say we should have the boundary line on one side of the road, we'll do the other. Land down there that's deeded to the town, we'll do whatever the board wants, but we just need some guidance on that. And I expect most of that at this point would come from the Board of Selectmen, that we would bring back here to the planning board.
If a strip of land deeded to the town, generally the only way that would happen would be if this was brought up to class 5 standards with paved, all that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Right.
There's no room to do it. I mean, it's fine for this section, right? But there's no-
So you wouldn't be asked.
Took a look, Susan's been down there, you took a ride down there, and the section, you know, that we're talking about, pretty straight. I mean, it's, the lot is over 2 acres, you know what I mean? It's not like we're not trying to conform to all of the regulations, we just, like, I want to get this application before you guys.
Yep.
So whatever you guys have recommendations on what you would like us to do, I'm in agreement with. I mean, I'm here to work with you. And I do appreciate your time and stuff, but I need to move this forward. It's stalled way too long. I've had weather considerations, I've had lots of setbacks, okay, but it's getting scary. Because if I'm able to move and set people one
sure. But it'd be around your driveways, you brought up the driveways. And for a town road, the building inspector has jurisdiction over driveway permits. So I don't. If there's.
What's the timeframe between one subdivision? Is it a 4-year wait before the next?
No, that's
State.
law.
So I guess, so
They
we,
usually look for recommendations from us, so.
Yeah, I think it's probably gonna be a dual.
And then can they do the lot line adjustment concurrently with this?
Or before. They can do it right now.
but would that take everything out of current use?
I thought we had done lot line adjustments alongside of
Yeah, we can do
subdivisions
lot
before.
line adjustments with the subdivision.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just do it
I think
all
it's
at
very
once.
common.
The lot line adjustment's not, unlike a subdivision's final once the deed passes. I mean, once it's approved. Lot line adjustment's not final until a deed is passed. So you can get a lot line approval until you pass that deed. It's not truly a new, the lot isn't changed until the deed changes hands.
Okay.
That could cause a problem. You could end up easily selling lot 47, 47A, B, and C. All that strip of, not convey that strip of land, and there would be a piece of property out there by itself. We're not gonna go there, all at one time.
But Brad, to answer your question, that lot adjustment can be done beforehand, anytime,
Yeah.
particularly if you're gonna get some remuneration for that. But the other 4 lots, if you add them up, they're over 10 acres. The existing lot and then the 3 to be subdivided off.
Right.
So current use should be fine,
Oh.
depending on how you wanted to time it.
Okay, that's what I wasn't.
High, because your acreage has changed, but
To the zoning board?
no, there's an, like every March or so, they,
Oh,
I don't know if
so
you have to
they-
reapply or they just take it out. And then as long, so that other section coming out of current use, you could potentially have a financial impact associated with it, if it comes out of current use.
So if this 3-acre lot that I intend to deed to Mr. Sweet is taken out of current use, then I'm gonna be taxed on
No, I
buildable
was
lots?
saying, and this is outside our purview a bit, but I'm saying that 3-acre lot, you could get a change of use.
Okay.
Could be coming out of current use. But I don't know if it's after the deed passes, at that time, assessing would have to kind of speak to
Okay,
give you an idea.
so now do we need any kind of?
It's got the guidance on it.
Ed,
Can I speak to this though? You gotta remember that that's a building permit
Right.
policy, not a subdivision policy.
Right.
So you guys are actually the spokespeople, they aren't really gonna go to the Board of Selectmen, because you guys speak to them. If you wanna check on, check with Chris.
And I think what you're saying, Joanna, is that really the Board of Selectmen have to approve a building permit, and then along with that, there are other parts to that.
But if you look, one of the, if you will, on there is a plan that's approved and signed by the planning board. Makes it so that they don't have to go to the select board. If you look down at the list, one of the requirements is an approved registered plan. So why would they go to the select board even then? Because when they go for the building permit, they've got an approved registered and signed plan.
That means that you should apply for a site plan application, or the subdivision, through the planning board.
Okay. So, I mean, so you guys don't see anything that
No, I
jumps
think,
out at you?
I think we may have further discussion on the road.
Yeah.
You know, on where that lot line is, but I would say, you know, put it in there, make an application, what your proposal is. We may need to shift that with further discussion, you know, formal discussion about it. I think I shouldn't say I.
You can say I.
I don't want to speak for all we, but I think that this concept is much more refined and better than the previous one. And I think we're in the right path of conveying those lot, or that back lot that has a lot of wetlands on it, because it's not developable really for any real use other than its natural state.
Yeah.
The road would stay in the same location, and, you know, subdividing up the remaining parcel on the south side of White's Grove Road appears to be appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lot line adjustment that you're discussing, you know, clarifies two things. Lot 86 becomes more conforming, so that's a plus.
Yeah.
Lot 47 that becomes more conforming from what's there now. The only other thing, and I think you were going to be clarifying this in the future, I don't know because you still haven't, if they haven't been delineated as either poorly drained or very, very poorly drained.
We have that done.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no the soil scientist to that effect.
So you just get rid of that 75-foot setback line so it doesn't cloud it up.
Septic system's minimum 75 feet to any
Oh, okay, I'm
wetlands.
sorry. That's okay.
That's the only reason I show it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
good.
that's actually, keep it on there.
Okay.
Since it's a state law. Road stuff, if they wanted to get.
I think they could provide anything that would help them decide who gets to own the road, right? They deal in municipal law, not private property law, right? I mean, it's clear that the issue of who owns the road has to be resolved, but whoever owns it, it has to be made clear to that person or persons that if they own the road, that they are financially and legally obligated to maintain that road.
What about the other 40 residents that live below this section of the road?
I was gonna say, that might be part of the question there. So is
Yeah, that's-
if beyond this lot, you know, if beyond this lot, the deeds say that the ownership of that strip belongs to lot 47. And now, all of a sudden, we chop off, you know, 3 other areas for a section saying, well, this section belongs to this, but this section way back here still belongs to this lot, and we kind of eliminate the contiguousness of it. Again, that's kind of the messiness of the older roads, and not knowing, you know, I don't know what the deeds say. They just say are only common between the landowners, which would make it clear, you know, that doing this way versus if all the way back here is all these deeds, if they say that it's owned by this lot.
My question is, Gretchen, White Grove Road is split down the middle. Beyond Lot 47 owns now toward the water, is the rest of the road also split down the middle and divided
No,
between?
not presently, no, it's all one ownership.
Oh, because there's a line down the middle of the road, over here on the left.
Only between lot 86 and 47, yes.
You mean at the
Down here.
westernmost part of the,
Off the property boundary.
That is different down there.
So how is it different?
Because those properties down there are bounded by the road. And bounded by the road conveys title to the center of the road. And these lines on either side define the division line between private ownership and easement rights of other people in that subdivision. If, it's not subdivision, I guess, maybe that's the wrong word to use, but those
Development,
lots
yeah,
have that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so beyond this parcel,
Yes.
that's how it's deeded,
Yes.
basically, is that?
Yes.
it-
And I think if,
asked that.
if I were to collect all the maps, all the surveys that have been done down there, I think you'd find you'd find 2 or 3 variations of the ownership line down through there.
So if that's the case, if beyond this parcel.
Right,
it's-
beyond it.
It's center line, I think it would make more sense.
To stay center.
Yeah, to be
do this-
consistent.
to be consistent. So therefore,
That was my
this half of the
intention.
road is lot 47C, this half is gonna be 86, you know.
Right, but that brings us back to the question, who owns it, who's responsible for it?
And
You know,
then-
because it's been done wrong in the past, there's no reason to continue doing it wrong.
Right, so here's the.
Because this is the dilemma that has forced this issue on the town. You
But what
know,
we don't know, is it wrong that it's at the center line, or is it wrong that it's fully into one lot?
yeah, I mean, that's definitely a question that needs to be answered, but an owner has to be identified.
I think-
Right, and then when you have two, opposing properties, and they're both mutually, owners, how is the town gonna be able to, enforce upon these people to fulfill their legal obligations and not default it to just saying, oh, it's a town problem, let the town take care of it?
I think that's the town attorney, that is a problem rightfully for the Board of Selectmen and their town council, as to how do you enforce the town's road standards? I don't. and the
Well, it's not a
planning
matter
board-
of road standards, it's,
Even if it's a private road, or it's a public road, or class 5 or 6, or whatever, I think that's not something that we can solve for the town. That's what I'm saying, we're just asking for some direction.
yeah, but here's the problem, it's not a town problem. Legally.
I don't know that.
It's not that, no,
I don't live
I'm
in
telling
town,
you.
so I don't know that.
It's not the town's issue to decide how to maintain these roads, it's the landowner's issue. The problem for you is to decide how is this gonna be divvied up so that there's a clear and identifiable owner. Because when you go to file that waiver, the waiver of liability that's gonna be attached to each of these lots, that landowner has to be identified.
The thing is, this is an opportunity, actually, this subdivision, to make that definite, and now.
Set the
Lot
standard.
47 owns half, Mr. Sweet owns half, and as you go down the line,
yeah,
that's not a question that.
knowing, given that this is private land, the division of the land, it's obviously subject to many things, and again, we're not beholden to any of the commentary here, but just from a common sense standpoint. If the deed strictly states this lot owns to half the road, and that continues all the way through, I think it actually lends credence to the whole homeowners association approach. Now
Sure.
everyone's responsible,
sure.
not the town.
Right.
It's deeded to every single property according to the facts that we have here. Every single person that lives on that road is responsible for coming together and figuring out how to
Right.
deal with that road.
That's right.
But I don't know if you were at that meeting that we had a few days after Christmas. There was a mob of people there that have absolutely zero intention of doing a homeowners association or taking any responsibility for these
I think they're
private.
two different problems, though.
Yeah, no, definitely. But, it's certainly a valid approach.
But I think, to Ed's point, like, if that's the consistent approach here, that is likely the
Right.
recommendation for the subdivision to keep it consistent.
Yeah, everybody's got skin in the game that way.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense to me. I mean,
So, while this is, informal, why don't your proposal have the lots 47C and 47B to the center line of the road,
Okay.
and we'll
We will.
go with that.
Yep,
Yeah.
Yeah, your
Then we
buildable,
can
your
address
buildable area is not gonna change,
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Okay.
When we submit to the planning board here, will the planning board submit the plans to the Board of Selectmen, or do we do that separate, whole separate process?
Yeah, there's a separate application and documentation.
Okay, and that's that form that's online, you said, we can get that online?
Should be able
Okay.
to.
Ed,
There's not a form for the policy.
The,
It's what?
There's not a form to go to the select board.
I'm sorry.
That's a,
that is
We-
part of the building permit
Are you talking about
process,
the
correct?
agreement and waiver of liability?
No, the process for consideration of a building permit.
Yeah, there's
So
not
it's
a
just the
form.
building permit.
Yeah, it's a building permit.
We will, the planning board will engage the Board of Selectmen on this.
Okay, and we will work through this within our 180 days.
Yes.
Okay.
You've got one part,
It won't take that long, Brad.
you've already got your zoning variance, so that's one half of it, that's done.
Yep.
Of this three-legged thing.
yeah,
Second part is us, and then our recommendations to the select board, and then that would be the last part of it, would be the select board's, approval of or disapproval of building permits.
All right,
And we'll try and do everything to get that concurrent, so that there isn't, one meeting and then another meeting and then another meeting.
Thank
If
you
we
so
can-
much.
If we
Yeah.
can, get planning board and select board kind of on the same travel path.
that would be awesome. Yeah, that would help me out a lot.
Okay.
So, from prior plans to this one, conceptual to this one, this looks like you're almost there. I don't see anything different besides, showing where driveways would be and that kind of thing. Once the application comes to us, we'd have our public hearing on it. General conditions, would be like monuments, test pits, making sure you actually can show that you can fit these things in these areas, you have appropriate soils. And then if that's approved, would be going to the BOS for your building permits.
Okay,
and the plans would need to have
And then
all the
state.
regular plans, information on them.
And then state approval for, obviously, at some point would be a condition, would be state approval of
Oh, yeah.
your driveway permit.
all that, we'll give all that information to the board as well.
One other question, I think the last meeting you had mentioned, so at the left-hand side, just past the biddable area on 47C, it shows that there's some sort of access to lot.
yeah, that's,
You said that shouldn't exist, is that what I remember hearing?
it shouldn't exist because that's Bobanino, and his address is off of Highland Avenue, his driveway is off of Highland Avenue, that's where he gets his mail. Jim and I talked about this, about the liability of, like, something happened there and whatever. I think it's important to leave that open because it's a wide, if you see it, it's a very wide area that we could possibly, like, stage a pumper, and we could run a line down to the lake and put out a fire. So it's big enough for that kind of apparatus.
But there's no like deeded right-of-way or anything?
No.
I have to interrupt you, they're in the old deeds, and, if you see note 4 on the plan, on the right-hand side, note 4, the gravel driveways from White Grove Road to lots 45 and 46 may be or may not be. The easements referred to, and there's a book and page, to Camp Wigwam and Camp Doris. Now, that way before my time and probably anybody here. But
That's these guys right here.
wherever Camp Wigwam and Camp Doris are, or were, there may be that easement still. And so that's why I've shown that.
And what he's talking about is, if you go all the way to the very end, where it's all convoluted there, there's a bunch of properties there, those are the camps that he's referring to there, and there are driveways that come across that portion of the land. It all kinds of comes together in a kludgy mess right down there by L1. Like where Rossi is and Goodrich, that's where I believe those camps were.
But, so 47C is buildable area, that little point at the end is, that has enough setback? I mean, it's hard to tell visually.
Right, I have not, no problem there.
Okay.
Yeah, we show the green area, the green dashed lines, those are the building envelope areas. You can see that the wetland setback line still, it's,
Okay, thank you.
We'd be about beat this to death, I think.
Yeah.
I really appreciate all of your time and comments and stuff. It means a lot to my family that we're able to complete this.
Well, ball's in your court, you can make your application.
Okay?
Thank you.
We'll get right on that, and thank you very much for your time and consideration, all of you.
Good night.
They will be applying for a minor subdivision, correct? No,
It's just three.
No, it's still a major because it's more than 3, right?
it's not more, you're creating 3.
right.
You're not
But then we
creating-
also have the original one, so isn't it 4?
You know how many towns we had the same discussion with?
Yeah, because if it's a minor subdivision, that changes things.
Sorry, not to go that mention at the last moment, but before
No.
you go and apply and do all the
No.
stuff and we notice it. Trying to find where it is.
There's one lot, there will be 4 lots, so.
Right.
Increase to 3.
Is it the creation?
So this is the way,
Is it net new or is it total?
Right.
I'm going by definition. So that's what I was trying to find, the additional language, and it's hard to do it.
Sorry, there's plenty of time between now and when we fill the paperwork.
This was in my mailbox.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
So let's continue on here. We've got the review of the zoning ordinance change language. So So we missed the schedule to get on the
Does it say?
the first meeting,
No.
but we can make the second meeting date, deadline,
Consider
for
create.
the zoning change.
So it was clarified that that didn't mean you have to have the first meeting.
I don't know if that was specifically clarified, but yes, we are,
We're good.
we're good.
Okay.
That's all I can check.
Legally, we'll
It
set-
already,
We're good.
But we
and
can't
the
make
3
any
new ones are
changes.
being carved out of it.
What we present to
This lot would be the remainder, the
public
original lot
has
would
to be
already
it.
exist.
Correct.
If we go with it, great.
Creating-
If we don't,
creating
then it's
three.
tabled.
Creating 3.
That's what I think too.
Yeah, that's,
So, last meeting we had, we talked about the change in language, and then we got into the multifamily development section. So I had Joanna either circulate today, or it's just printed in here. Just some quick edit to just remove, from the multifamily section, the permitted use. So I suggest that we just strike out a duplex unit will be permitted in any zone, and just have it read duplex, such structure, so on and so forth. And then multifamily dwelling, including condominiums, shall be on sites approved by the planning board, and just strike permitted in all zones. And that allows the actual zone to dictate what is permitted in that use, or what uses are permitted. I don't think there was any other areas for that. Is that clean enough?
It's for me.
yeah.
So we're good to go? We wanna vote that we, I guess we don't need to vote. We can just, so we'll include this in the changes.
Because we don't actually vote on it until after the
But public hearing.
Public
Right,
hearing.
until the public hearing. Okay, so this text and then the text that we had previously will go to the public hearing. And then, which is February 4th. And the intent for that public hearing is, that I have, is that Joanna's gonna get our big, huge box of light going, so that we can project onto a screen, so that we can have our zoning map up. And then people will understand where, you know, the business commercial zone is for Route 4, visually understanding where it is, and then our area of town center. And let's hope people show up.
I'm sure they will.
February 4th.
Deal with landowner rights usually brings people out.
I feel like this actually clarifies too, like, when you talk about the multifamily area, 'cause it refers back to the zones and for land size and everything, but, yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to tackle that in a different,
No, right,
separate
I think
area,
it's
but yeah,
good.
that's
Good,
gotta
it's
get
one
cleaned
step
up.
towards that.
Okay, so
We're not doing updates right now, but we talked about that section last night in our master plan meeting.
well, that's the next thing on the agenda, so you go first.
Okay. I'll leave some of this for Sue, obviously, but she's a wonderful.
How was your master plan meeting?
Productive.
Pretty productive, yeah.
Yeah?
Some special guests. I don't remember, I remember Teresa, I don't remember.
Therese Thompson.
Therese, yep,
And John Chappell.
that's right.
I think he was instrumental, he and his wife were instrumental in master plan 2 reiterations ago. He had some very good questions and input, long-term residents in Nottingham.
And Therese brought to our attention, Lamprey River, apparently does provide grants for master plan updates to communities that are within the Lamprey River watershed, up to $7,500. I don't know what our next step was with that, though.
Well,
What we need to
the
take
money,
action on
the
that.
money will not be available until 2020, and she will let us know when the grant applications become available and when the
Okay.
deadline is. But we hope at that time we will have somebody on board, a planner, either sitting at a desk in this building or available to us on a job-related program. And then they would be able to take this into consideration, into updating our master plan for our wetlands, our rivers, and
Okay.
other areas. But very generous grant.
Yeah, I think that's, oh, and then one of the action items specifically commented on, well, we decided we should review and refine the multifamily development section.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. Gary, you have anything?
Nothing to report.
Oh, okay. Something else that we did last night at the master plan update committee was to go through the 4 remaining chapters that we hadn't gone through yet and looked at the action items to see which ones were ongoing, and if they're ongoing, put it into the narrative rather than keep it as an action item. If it's not possible to pursue because it just isn't practical for Nottingham, we did one of these, and the rest we left in for review and updating. We did energy, housing, land use,
The historic
and historic resources.
resources, yeah.
And our next meeting will be, next month, we're going to invite Courtney from the Recreation Department to come in and speak with us and see how she wants that chapter to go. Maybe based on the 10-year plan that her predecessor had put together for the last one. So we're moving along.
Okay, good. I don't have any other updates, but I am reminded that I should just confirm back with the town manager on those positions that are open, such as the planner and
Yes, yeah.
planning assistants.
I can speak to that too. He actually met with Dale and I last week and reviewed the job posting description. And Dale and I made comments, and he came back with another revision of it, and we approved what that revision was. So that is moving forward.
Okay. Good, thank you. Ed, do you have anything?
Do not?
So just to add what she just said about that job description for the planner, I would touch base with Chris and make sure that that fits with the vision of what you want that position to do
Yep.
with and for this board, so.
Yeah, I'll circle back with them.
Yeah. So, one question I had, did I miss a hearing on Monday?
No,
It was on my calendar, and I had wrenched my shoulder doing the pull start of my snow blower. I took a nap, and when I woke up, my phone, was telling me, hey, your meeting started an hour and a half ago, so I felt terrible. So I feel better knowing that I didn't miss a hearing.
You being honest and confessing to that.
Yeah,
That's why you weren't here.
yeah, no, that's what it was.
Slept through it.
So,
No,
okay,
that's
so
gonna be that's rescheduled to another off.
That's the 4th, right?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
February 4th.
Scheduled
Yeah.
to February 4th.
Okay, I will be there.
Don't sleep, don't get a
Don't sleep
snowstorm.
through it.
Yeah, no. Well, like I said, I hurt myself, so I figured I'd sleep it off.
How you
I just
feeling?
didn't think,
you
I'm
okay?
sore. I'm getting old. I just, don't go, just don't do it, Avoid it, yeah. See, what else? Apart from that, we're still working on our proposed warrant articles, budgetary stuff, personnel issues, nothing major beyond that.
Town clerk's office looks pretty good. Tax collector.
Yeah,
I went in to ask if I could take some money out of an account, but she said they didn't have any in there. It looks a lot like a bank teller's office.
it's cleaner
It
than it
looks
was.
nice, but it does, it's like, oh, this looks like a bank office.
Walk over
So I don't have anything, because I'm not on any other groups, well, actually I am, but nothing y'all need to know, except that I want to remind everybody about the 300th Eat and Meet that's this Saturday, because I am on the 300th Planning Committee. It's at noon here. Bring a dish to share and some ideas, because we'd like to have people come and tell us what they'd like for the 300th. It's coming right up, 3 more years.
Anybody mentioned fireworks yet?
They have, see, all of that stuff has been mentioned. We just kind of need to get everybody's ideas and, parades, banners, reenactments, whatever. We just need some people to come up and tell us what you'd like, so.
I may not be able to be there, but we talked a little, when we were reviewing the historic resources section, that action plan has some pretty good ideas that might be, obviously not all of them, but there could be select things in there that could be programs to start up between now and then.
If you're not gonna be there and there's, you know me, you just send something to me, I'll bring it up and say, this is from Joe Clough.
Sure. Or it's from our action plan, but.
Or whatever, yeah, or somebody else, there's a web page, you can go on there. and-
Oh, there is, okay.
Yeah.
I have some ideas. They might be a little corny, but I think they're
No, I
fun.
think we're looking for
So,
that.
and I hope I can make it Saturday. I don't know if I can yet, but, yeah.
We'll be in suspense. Joanne, anything else?
We have a site plan review application that I will be processing tomorrow for a tavern pub at Daniels Hall. That owner is selling, Daniels Hall on Route 4.
Oh, okay.
What's Daniels Hall?
It's a singles dance
Oh.
place on Route 4. Yeah, so that's being sold, and the interested party, if you will, is looking to just change it a little bit and make it an actual restaurant pub as well. So that will be coming to you guys. I'll make sure you all know when everything is scanned and uploaded and everything. And then a possible storage unit on Route 4 as well, or storage facility. But that's not happening yet. I don't have any paperwork on it yet. So,
Okay.
I think that's it.
We have minutes to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes for January 9th, 2019 as amended,
A second?
edited, whatever.
So I don't know if everybody got a chance, I apologize for not speaking first. I sent through some edits to these today, just at like, I don't remember what times, I don't know if
Choose
anybody.
something.
Making, it was just some changes to a couple lines.
So that's in the as amended?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too, at the beginning of the meeting,
So as amended?
yeah.
as
So
amended.
there's a motion and a second as amended. Those in favor indicate aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved.
I have a quick question though. Do we need to approve as a board the master plan committee ones that you had sent me? I included them in your
No.
packets. Okay, so I didn't know if we did or not.
Well, I'm not really sure.
We only do approve
Past
master
ones have
plan
been approved
minutes.
by
No, it's just a committee. And I'll get those edited to you so you can post them. I don't remember if I sent along the ones from September, but I'll take a look.
Okay,
And there are two other sets that we just approved last night.
okay, perfect.
Was it the night before?
It would be
Last night.
helpful that once those minutes are posted, that you just circulate them to the board so that we all see them.
All right. They are on the website too, just so you all know. But yeah, definitely. I'll
Well,
bring it
so,
back.
I mean, we won't know to look, so I just wanna, when they're posted, then circulate them around, that would be great. And that's it.
Mylar to sign.
Mylar's,
Motion to adjourn?
thank you, a
Second.
second, motion and a second, those approved.
Aye.
Who motioned?